All right, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are now on their way out. The recall effort is now underway to remove these two incompetent, self-serving politicians from office. We're going to show you the latest. Also, Trump's mass deportation effort, it's already working. Reports coming in that large numbers of illegal migrants have begun self-deporting themselves. And more stories as well from around the country. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. The recall process in California to oust Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass is now underway as more devastating news and info continues to come in. The man who led the last recall effort against Newsom back in 2021 is the same person who's organizing this recall as well. His name is Randy Economy, saying to the Post yesterday that he's going to begin collecting signatures in the next week or two, saying under the reign of Governor Newsom, living in California has become impossible for average people through years of poor policies which have increased the cost of living, increased crime, increased drug use and homelessness while decreasing our professional standards, education standards, the disappearance of billions of taxpayer dollars for their failed pet programs and our public services. Amen. The last time Gavin Newsom faced a recall election was in 2021. 61% of Californians who voted no. I don't think that's going to happen this time. SoCal is like the Democrat stronghold. Los Angeles is as solid blue as you get. LA is what saved him in 2021. Well, LA is furious at Newsom and Karen Bass. If California has ever had a chance at ridding themselves over the last decade from Gavin Newsom, this is the time, folks, and he knows this. He knows it's coming. Yesterday, he paraded himself around on more of these left-wing podcasts all day long in full damage control mode, bragging about all of his accomplishments as governor. The nerve on this guy. Your state's on fire, buddy. The largest city in your state just burned to the ground, some of it, and you're spending your time doing this. Roll the tape.
A state with millions and millions of Trump supporters, Speaker Johnson, and Mr. President-elect. Millions of your supporters are out here. They need your help. They need your empathy. They need your care, whatever compassion you can express, as opposed to condemnation and divisive language that has aided and embedded nothing except mis and disinformation that's flamed fear and flamed a lot of anxiety for folks that are simply trying to recover and at the same time our first responders trying to address the emergency at hand, which still hasn't been fully buttoned up.
Every time he speaks, he deflects blame to Donald Trump. Take some accountability. Meanwhile, another fire erupted overnight in California at one of the world's largest battery storage facilities located around 100 miles south of San Francisco, triggering mass evacuations. The Associated Press reporting that the fire broke out Thursday evening at the Moss Landing Power Plant, a natural gas-fired generation plant with thousands of lithium batteries for energy storage, saying that these types of fires involving lithium batteries notoriously difficult to extinguish and could burn uncontrollably for days. Not what California needs right now, as the state's already dealing with over $250 billion in destruction from the LA fires. Additionally, this energy storage facility plays a huge role in stabilizing California's power grid. Over 2,000 residents were evacuated last night due to the danger of wildfire risk, but also due to the dangerous chemicals this fire is putting out. California is like a complete hellhole right now. The state is falling apart. Nobody has confidence in the leadership over there. And I'm hearing personally from friends and family in California who tell me everyone they know wants Gavin Newsom gone, wants Karen Bass gone. The New York Post reporting the recall effort against Newsom is now underway in California following alleged mishandling of LA fires. A recall attempt to knock California Governor Gavin Newsom out of office is underway as he faces sharp criticism for his handling of the LA wildfires, with opponents labeling his leadership as a series of catastrophic failures. Organizers against Newsom vowed to file papers in the next 2 weeks in hopes of jump-starting the process that could lead to the Democrats' ouster in the middle of his second term in the governor's mansion, saying Newsom and Karen Bass are both fighting for their political lives. That's what they're both doing right now. That's what this piece goes over. All of their actions should be viewed through that lens, folks, for job survival. Not in what's best for California. Trump doubling down on the utter incompetence of California's leadership, posting this yesterday. The actual irony is a homeowner consents to pay property taxes that will go to the fire department. But those funds are diverted to illegal immigrants because LA is a sanctuary city. An illegal immigrant comes, sets your house on fire, and the fire department doesn't have the resources to put it out. The homeowner paid for their own destruction, basically. Then he says, on top of that, the government's so inept that the insurance companies won't even insure houses here anymore. So the homeowner's left with nothing. And look, now that the Palisades or Pacific Palisades and Altadena are basically completely gone, burnt to the ground, many residents are asking themselves, like, should we even rebuild here? According to Newsom, developers are scrambling to come in and take advantage of the opportunity. Newsom saying, we've been meeting to reimagine LA. That's what he said. As LA 2.0, he said.
Over the course of the next several years, Los Angeles will be host to the World Cup, and then the Super Bowl, and then the Olympics. With this rebuilding effort needing to take place, is LA going to be ready for all of those global events?
My humble position, and it's not just being naively optimistic, that only reinforces the imperative moving quickly, doing in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. President of the United States, Donald Trump, to his credit, was helpful in getting the Olympics to the United States of America, to get it down here in LA. We thank him for that. This is an opportunity for him to shine, for this country to shine, for California and this community to shine. The opportunity with all of that and all that opportunity and that pride and spirit that comes from not just hosting those three iconic games and venues, but also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
You just said you're organizing a Marshall Plan for the rebuilding of California. What is that Marshall Plan?
For
Tell
this
us about
region,
this Marshall
we're just
Plan.
starting to lay out. I mean, we're still fighting these fires. So we're already talking to city leaders. We're already talking to civic leaders. We're already talking to business leaders and nonprofits. We're talking to labor leaders. We're starting to organize how we can put together a collection of individuals on philanthropy for recovery, how we can organize the region to really develop a mindset so that at scale we're dealing with the scope of this tragedy and responding to it at scale with efficiency, like the executive order I talked about, time value of delivering projects, addressing building codes, addressing permitting issues, and moving forward to rebuilding and being more resilient.
And ask yourself, who would you rather have rebuilding LA, Karen Bass or Rick Caruso? Rick Caruso is the man who should be LA's mayor right now, but lost by a whisker. A billionaire who made his money from building. The man's a builder. Look at some of his properties. The Miramar Resort, Palisades Village. This is like one of the only structures that's left standing in the Palisades because he built the village with fire retardant material. He also has his own private fire station there who he pays privately. He was ready. He was prepared. Would things be different right now if he was the mayor of LA? So look, California, this is your chance at change, all right? Real positive change. They're going to begin collecting signatures likely next week or the week after for this recall effort. Take advantage of the opportunity. In another story, illegal migrants who came in over the last 4 years during Joe Biden's open border policies have already begun self-deporting themselves. This is an amazing story, as the legacy media has been constantly saying it's impossible, they say, for Trump to deport the 10+ million people that Joe Biden let into our country illegally. Trump's response has been, no, it's not impossible. In fact, many of them will choose to leave themselves. And he's right. Again, watch.
Trump has promised to carry out the largest deportation operation in U.S. history. And before those operations begin, some migrants are already choosing to leave the country voluntarily. News Nation's Jorge Ventura joins us live from San Antonio, Texas this morning with more on this story. Jorge, how many migrants are we actually seeing doing this, leaving voluntarily?
Right now, Marky, it's unclear, but we are starting to see a trend, and this comes as cities across the U.S. and Mexico are now bracing for President-elect's deportation operation. But his hardline messaging on those deportation efforts have some migrants panicking and some even choosing now to self-deport back to their home countries. I spoke with immigration attorney Rolando Vasquez, who tells me that some of the immigrants that he represents that entered under the Biden administration are now choosing to return home, fearing deportation under the incoming administration.
Just as recent as yesterday, they notified me that they're going to depart the country voluntarily, and understanding that, the Trump administration is going to carry through on their promises.
And it's not just Trump's deportation plans that are influenced these decisions. Vasquez says it's also that Mexico is now open to accepting non-Mexican deportees. Mexico's move would impact Cuban and Venezuelan migrants the most, since those countries typically do not accept deportation flights from the U.S., but may from Mexico.
This is causing for many migrants to leave on their own, knowing that they're either going to be deported to their home country or be deported to Mexico. And they obviously, the overwhelming majority of them do not want to be in Mexico.
And my sources in Mexico tell me that it's likely that cartels and smugglers will exploit, kidnap, and extort those newly deported migrants. As of right now, it's unclear if Mexico has a plan to protect those deported migrants, Marky.
Yeah, border's about to change on Monday. At least that's what voters were promised. Jorge Ventura, thank you so much, live from San Antonio this morning.
In another story, Kamala Harris snubbed incoming VP-elect Vance, refusing to let him and his wife the chance to come in to the VP residence, tour it before Inauguration Day. CBS reporting that Harris declines to invite Vance for the courtesy visit to the residence, which is like a tradition. The Vances have 3 children, folks. It'd be nice to let them take a peek inside before moving in, wouldn't it? Meanwhile, Kamala did have some choice words for her party yesterday, telling Democrats she knows she's the face of the party now and she's going to remain in our lives forever. You can't make this up. And she looks a bit loopy here, if you ask me. Tell me what you think in the comments. Roll the tape.
I am fully aware that I am the public face of a lot of our work, and so I have the benefit of running into people all over our country who thank me. And I will tell you, I am fully aware that when they are thanking me, they are thanking our team for the extraordinary commitment that you each have and as a team have to lifting up the American people, lifting up their condition, lifting up their hopes and dreams, and understanding through it all the nobility of public service.
Imagine that lady won in November. Imagine having to listen to her for 4 more years. 3 more days, folks. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.